Hey everybody, my name's Yvonne Villarreal, a reporter here at the LA Times, and joining us today is Emmy Rossum, who plays the stand-in matriarch of the Gallagher family on Showtime's Shameless. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're a little nervous here, aren't we? About saying the wrong thing,
yes.
cursing.
Yes, we are. We're live on the internet.
Yes.
This is terrifying.
Yes. We're gonna
try to be nice.
We're gonna keep it.
Try to be ladies.
Try to be ladies.
Let's be ladies. Let's keep it cool.
No pressure.
Okay. No pressure. No pressure.
This was quite the season for Fiona. She started off on a high note.
Yeah.
She was working at a place where she could wear pencil skirts.
Yeah.
She had a nice boyfriend, even though he was her boss. So good. Like, his biggest problem was that he wanted her to call him when she said she would call him.
So annoying.
So annoying, guys. How was that for you, though, playing Fiona in, like, non-survival mode?
It's so weird. I mean, because I've lived, before this season, I'd lived 3 seasons of playing her, you know, living hand to mouth, trying to take care of all these kids. And you're, like you said, in survival mode. So now, being the idea of being comfortable and the idea of succeeding a little bit in life was as foreign to her as it was to me playing her.
Really?
So it didn't feel comfortable. So the second she, you know, fell off the wagon and slept with her boss's brother and ended up in jail for drug possession, it was much more
comfortable. Like, this is what I know.
It was
this
great.
is me.
It was great.
It was fun.
Yeah, we just strive to find new lows.
What was your conversations like about, did you know ahead of time it's not going to last forever, or that was just innate because, you know, this is Shameless and how could it last forever?
Yeah, I feel like as much as we might strive to find happiness in our real lives, I feel like being settled and being happy and being in a functioning relationship just is not that entertaining to watch. So I had every clue that wasn't going to last for her, especially because she comes from a history of a family of self-destructors. So why would she know any different?
What do you think it is about the way she sabotages herself? Is it just that she thinks she doesn't deserve the happily ever after, or somewhat happily ever after, normalcy, or is she just uncomfortable with the idea of it?
You know, part of acting, I think, is really understanding the character in like a cerebral way, and part of it is just going with your feelings and being present and in the moment. And so when I analyze her, I think, well, so much of who we are is established, you know, by how our parents treat us when we're children. And I think the abandonment she suffered because her mother abandoned her, and the fact that her father basically treats her like she's not important, she doesn't exist to him, that makes her feel on a really internal level a lack of sense of self-worth. And I think that whether or not she is smart, she did pass the bar, she did all these things to prove to herself otherwise, there is always that little child inside of her that thinks, I don't deserve this.
When we see, you know, she has the affair with her boyfriend's brother.
Yeah.
And then we see, you know, when he leaves off the bag of Coke and she has her fun, and then things go awry when her brother ingests it.
Right.
Overdoses.
Yeah.
She ends up in jail. Things spiral out of control.
It's a real knee slapper.
Yeah, real knee slapper. And you guys are like entering in the comedy category. So talk about all of that.
Well, I think that, I mean, to only have 2 categories, comedy and drama, I think it's very black and white. And I think that there is a new brand of a comedy. I mean, I think we've actually always thought of ourselves as a comedy. We're definitely more in that vein than we are. I mean, we're definitely not Homeland. We're definitely not Game of Thrones. I watch those shows and love them, but we're not dramas like that. We have, you know, real crazy, silly stuff happening on our show that really doesn't make us applicable for the drama category. And I think we've always felt that we belonged more in comedy. But I think that there's a new kind of comedy where there's a humanity and a real exploration of the depth of a character. It's not about just beat joke and delivering a punchline and how well you can do that. It's also about creating these real life fleshed out characters that might be in a slightly heightened situation.
Right.
I mean, when people come up to me, I was just in New York for a couple weeks on hiatus, and when I was like riding on the subway, people were like, I love your show, it's so hilarious. And I was like, wow, really? Yeah, we belong here.
Well, and
So
I
it's
think
great.
too, like people that actually live in those types of situations with like addicts and all this stuff,
Right.
you do find the humor in some of it.
Yes.
Like you have to, or like how do you survive?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that for us, even from when we were shooting the pilot, we thought even though these people are in a kind of depressed economy, they're not depressed.
Mhm.
They're party animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like they like to party. They want to have a good time. They might mess up all the time, but underneath it all, they really have a will to live and a will to succeed and keep going. And so it's definitely not a downer.
And not a downer all the time.
No.
Well, mentioning those moments that Fiona goes through, I mean, how was it for you to take in that this is where she was headed? It's like we see Frank in her a lot in this season.
Yeah. It's hard, but I mean, it's fun as an actor because, I mean, there are two sides of my brain. One is that I actually somehow think that Fiona is a real person. Like in real life,
Right.
part of me thinks she's out there walking around right now. So I really want her to do well.
Yeah.
Hi, Faith. I really want her to do well, and I don't want her to screw up. But at the same time, as the actor, it's really fun to play people that are going through a complete tailspin because you get to go to all these weird places and, you know, throw up in the back of a car and put somebody in the hospital and do an anal probe scene in jail. These are things an actor really strives for.
Really want it.
Yeah.
I mean, was there a moment though where you're like, I don't know if this is something Fiona would do?
Yeah, and I had a lot of conversations with our writers because I was worried. I mean, Fiona's never done hard drugs before this season. We've seen her maybe like smoke a joint and drink, but that wasn't really something in her character. And so for me, for her to really go down this rabbit hole, I was honestly worried that everyone was going to lose faith in her and that people were really going to rebel against this idea of her being a mess up. But it seems to be the opposite.
Well, and there are a lot of moments that really, like, you know, they tug at your heartstrings. You know, you mentioned the anal probing, but weird as that may sound, it does, just seeing her, like, you know, go through that.
Yeah.
What was one that really affected you?
That one.
That one?
Yeah. It's awful. I mean, just the idea of just being completely dehumanized is awful, especially like like you were saying at the beginning of the season, she seemed to be doing so well. She was on such a good, you know, role, and she really, really screwed it up. Now, you know, going to next season, she's really going to have to work her way to claw her way back.
How about the moment where she sees, now I'm forgetting the poor baby's name. Liam. I always want to say Ian. I don't know why I get them confused.
No. Liam is black.
Yes.
Ian is white with red hair.
Yes. But talk about, I mean, just her like thought process and going there for you, like seeing where she's going.
Well, honestly, it's just terrible because the actor that plays Liam, they're twins, but they're, you know, 2.5 years old, and you're telling them to like pretend like they're sleeping, and then you're putting, you know, baby powder on their face and pretending it's cocaine. And also, children can sense things from you. So even though his eyes are closed, he can sense my anxiety and the fact that I'm crying over him. So it's really heartbreaking to be in that kind of situation, and you just want to be very careful and cognizant of the fact that these are memories that this young actor is going to have forever of this crazy woman over him. So yeah, I just try to, you know, you try to go there, but you also try to realize that, you know, you're affecting the person opposite you.
How about the relationship between Fiona and Lip? Because it goes through...
That's my favorite.
Yeah. And it goes through some ups and downs this season. And, you know, we see how angry he gets, but in underneath it all, it's like obviously disappointment in her. Talk a little bit about going through that and what the conversations maybe were like behind the scenes of how we do this.
Well, in our season 3, our previous season, we had Fiona... They switched roles. Fiona was kind of the parent, and Lip was kind of messing up in school. He is really quite brilliant in school, but was kind of slacking, didn't want to go to college. And Fiona's kind of holding everything together so tightly and giving up her own future so that her younger siblings can have a chance in life. And when he's kind of throwing that away, she's very angry with him and feels very disappointed. And then this season, you know, when she kind of messes up, he's forced to kind of step up and take the parent role in the household. And it's just an interesting dynamic. And I think that in a family, when there's an opening, you know, somebody steps up to fill that. And he was really kind of the hero of this season.
Was it weird that you guys were sort of like off, like everyone was sort of separated and like fragmented this season, and then we ultimately see how they like sort of come together near the end? But
but I think that that's kind of true to life in a way. You know, things happen and people find it difficult to deal with, and then they kind of break up for a little while, even in families. And if you're a family like the Gallaghers are, you always come back together.
How about the relationship between Fiona and Frank? There's a scene.
What relationship?
But there's a scene in the hospital with him, and you know, where he's delirious. He's not really sure who's who, and there's the little girl who's like waiting for a heart transplant, and he thinks she's Fiona.
Right.
And you see like him show remorse and say sorry, and like, how was that for you reading that, to see that aspect of him?
Well, it's so interesting because Frank is such an interesting character. He is a complete narcissist. He's completely self-destructive and completely a terrible, terrible parent.
But he's the one that stayed too.
Incredibly intelligent too, and well-read, weirdly, given some of his stuff that he throws in his rants. And I think that the way that Macy plays him is so dynamic and layered, and in that scene it was really showed that there was a small piece of him underneath all the bravado that is aware of his lack of being there as a parent, and it was very touching for me. I mean, I wish Fiona had been there to hear it, but you know, maybe he'll get to say that to her face eventually.
Do you think she wants that and is expecting it soon?
No. Wants it for sure, is expecting it never.
Never.
I think every kid who feels that way, like they want something, or every person that wants something from even unrequited love, you want that so badly, but you know you're never going to get it.
Well, and we see like that he's like on the brink of death. We keep thinking, you know, he needs the liver, and somehow he always manages to pull through.
Yeah.
Did you do like a lot of research? I know like during the first season, some of the kids, and I forget if you were one of them, said, you know, that they went to the Al-Anon meetings to see what the people really go through. Like, is that something that you consider, like where their mindset is at this stage?
I met with a counselor that works specifically with treatment of people that have been in alcoholic families, and we kind of dissected the script together and talked about the kind of intricacies of also the different roles that people assume in a family when there's an absence. You know, there's always a clown, and there's always the mess up, and there's always the hero, and Fiona really fit that hero role. And sometimes those roles, you know, migrate from person to person, and now she's the mess up. Yeah.
Do you think she's hit rock bottom? Has she like learned?
I mean, she has to have hit rock bottom. She's been in jail twice. I really hope so. I've hit rock bottom.
You've hit rock bottom.
I have hit rock bottom.
I can't.
Writers, I have hit rock bottom.
How much of it do you think had to do with like the Jimmy, Jack, Steve element?
Well, I think that the Jimmy, Jack, Steve element of it is just kind of like her father and her mother's abandonment playing out all over again. I mean, I think she says to Jimmy maybe 2 seasons ago, he says, I love you. And she says, you're not going to leave, are you? Or you're just going to leave. They always leave. Don't leave. And I think that that's what she's used to. And I think that she really put her faith in Jimmy, Jack, Steve, whatever his name is these days.
I know.
And I think the idea that she lost him in the way that she did, where she really doesn't know why he left, even though the audience knows a little more. But yeah, that's really hard. And that definitely started this kind of tailspin.
Let's get some viewer questions here.
Oh no, I'm scared.
You should be scared.
I'm scared.
Let's see. Caleb Gary, hi Caleb, wants to know which one of your siblings from the show would you want as your sibling in real life? That's not hard.
Oh God. Does he know that we're about to start shooting and that this answer will affect the next 6 months of my life? No. Which actor? So that's not their character, that's the actor themselves?
I think the character.
Oh, the character. Okay, well, I guess my answer is twofold then. If it was the person that I jive with most is Jeremy Allen White. He plays Lip. And we are friends in real life, and I think he's an amazing actor. I definitely, and I'm an only child, which is weird that I play Fiona, because I've always wanted a brother. I would pick him. And if it were the character, then I would pick Debbie, because I don't consider myself to be a very manipulative person, and she's incredibly smart and manipulative and crafty, and I think I could really use somebody like Debbie Gallagher in my corner.
Was it weird to not be able to like be there for Debbie this season? She's going through so much.
Yeah, it's awful. Also, you know, to watch this actress who's just growing up and has never had her first kiss in real life, to watch her have to do that on screen, is just,
Did you give her pointers?
Completely, yes. I was like, it doesn't count. This is not your first kiss. This is pretend. This actor is being paid to kiss you. If he kisses like a frog, or he has bad breath, or like he gets handsy with you, just punch him in the face.
He gets handsy with you. I like that. I like that.
She's like 14.
Let's see. If you could play any other character on Shameless, male or female, who would it be?
I'd play Sheila, because I think Joan Cusack is brilliant. I think her character is so interesting, and her kind of nymphomania, initial agoraphobia, which has somehow disappeared. I just think she's such a quirky character, and I really like the life that she also does every take differently. I also never know what she's going to say. All the other actors stick to exactly what's written on the page. I have no idea what Joan is ever going to say.
Interesting.
So it's really fun working with her.
Huh. Was there a moment during this season, like in the script, that like made you cry or tear up?
Yeah, I mean a lot, but yeah, I mean I really, I mean I was interested by the Sammy Frank dynamic, because Sammy is like the new daughter that we didn't know Frank had, and it's interesting that she kind of hasn't had all the years of letdown that all the other Gallaghers had. So she's coming in to learn Frank fresh, and for me, that was a really interesting dynamic and quite touching and strange to watch, and also quite funny, because initially they're weirdly attracted to each other.
I know. It's really creepy.
It's a little creepy.
Really creepy. How about, is it hard to not feel pity for Fiona, not to come from that place? Or
no, because I think she's very strong underneath it all. I mean, even the strongest of people mess up every once in a while. So no, I never pity her.
Have they given you any like indication where she's headed for
Better
season?
Better. They already sent me an email like, "Don't worry, it's not going to be as hard. It's not going to. We're not going to literally run you through a vice, chop up your body parts emotionally."
What was the hardest part for you?
It was just a really tough season to slog through, all the ups and the downs, and then blending the comedy with the drama. There's a scene where I'm hiding at my boyfriend's brother's apartment after I've just slept with him, and they're kind of walking right past me, and it's like a very Frank moment. How many times has Frank hidden in a closet or under a table while he's done something wrong? And kind of balancing that and finding the humanity, but also finding that like heightened farcical element of it, kind of keeping one foot balanced in each is complicated but fun.
Well, and when she sees him in the bathroom, when she sees Frank, and she's like, and it's like she just pauses for a second. And what do you think's going through her mind? Is it that she sees herself?
That's where
in
I'm
him?
headed.
Yeah,
that's where I'm headed. If I don't get myself straight.
Scary.
And she doesn't.
Yeah.
That's like episode 2.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to another one. Would you like to write an episode of Shameless?
No.
Why?
Or direct, ever.
Really?
No.
No?
I honestly don't think I messed up enough to write this show. Sorry to my writers. Like, I have some shit in my childhood, but like, not this weird. There's literally a board of stuff like you can think of, like topics they want to tackle, or like a gag, like necrophilia. That time I left I used a tampon that had already been used. Like that time that somebody threw up while they were giving you know what. Like they're like, how can we fit all these gags into this human story? So I don't know. I just don't have that. I just don't have any of those stories.
Well, and I mean, when people are living this sort of lifestyle where they are like in survival mode, and they're dealing with, parents or kids that, are addicts, a lot of times you hear them say like, this going through this has like aged me 5 years or aged me 10 years, like because of all the stress. For you as the actor that has to play this type of role, do you feel like it ages you at all? Like, do you feel like
I hope not,
exhausted
because I'm playing a character younger than me, so if it's aging me, it's not going to be good by next season. No, I don't know. It's definitely hard. It's hard playing any character with reality that's not. I mean, if I'm not playing Emmy, then I need to make myself something else. And this character isn't terrifically like me, so it's really fun. I don't. Sure. I mean, I now that I've had a 2-month break, it was amazing. But when I was doing it, I was miserable. But now I'm happy, and I'm ready to do it all over again. It's almost like having a baby, so I hear. Like the second the childbirth and the misery and the pain and the blood are over,
Right.
you're like, oh, that was great. Let's do that again. But while you're pushing it out, you're like, why would I ever want to do this again? So it's kind of like that.
What has been the common reaction to just this season?
It's weirdly people's favorite season for Fiona, which is interesting for me because I kept going to our writer's room being like, you guys, I think this is too far. I think this is too much. Like,
will the character hate? I mean,
will people hate me? There's literally, they kept saying, like, get ready for the opening of episode 5. And I was like, you guys, what's happening at the opening of episode 5 where my character has an affair with the boyfriend's brother on the train in public.
Yes.
There's like, he has his hand up her skirt, and they literally just hold, and they made me do this on the L train with like other people on the train.
Like real, like
no,
passengers?
They were in other cars, but like, it's just weird, you guys. Like, so yeah.
And I love when they cut to the older woman and she's just like disgusted with you.
Disgusted. Also, that actor, it's so funny. Like, I wish we could always use the things that sometimes actors ad-lib, but sometimes they don't. Like, I think she said something like, well, that was quick. So, yeah, it was funny. I mean, actors are great. They're always fun.
Nice. And you start shooting soon, right?
Yeah, in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm still happy.
You're still happy.
I'm happy now. Yeah, we're good.
Tell me more.
Although I don't have a script or anything, I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
So I can't say anything.
And when you're reading the script, are you like texting like the writers as you're reading it, like what the hell or oh my gosh or?
I want to sound, yes, I'd like to. I usually text my friends that because I want to sound more sophisticated when I like give them my notes. Like, you guys, in scene 32, I feel like the motivation is a little bit sketchy. Not sure where she's coming from. Right. So I try to make myself sound very professional when I write to them. But
I should take a cue from you when my text. Clearly,
I don't use emojis in my emails to my boss.
That's good.
No,
that's good.
Note to self.
How about, well, a number of viewers want to know, what is the hardest part about playing Fiona, just in general?
I think the energy level is so high at all times that that's why it's sometimes so fun working with Shanola Hampton, because she literally gets the whole crew doing like break dancing, or she'll be like, before we start shooting. So she ups the energy level so much that you literally, sometimes we're outside before we walk into the Gallagher house, like doing push-ups or jumping jacks, or sometimes I'm like muttering to myself in my ear and hoping that the headsets at Video Village aren't on. So we just try to keep the energy really high because we'd never want the Gallaghers to get sucked into the hardness of the life they really lead.
And how was it shooting, like, being in prison, being in that, like,
It was awful. I mean, also, we
were you,
shot
like, watching Orange is the New Black to get tips, or, like, what were you doing?
No.
Good.
It was more like I just tried to take in my environment. I mean, it's Fiona's first time in prison. I had never been in a prison myself before, so it was just kind of taking in the environment,
just as she would.
The smells, the sights, the sounds, kind of also making everything super kind of like sensory to her. Like, everything is new, so every light is bright, every sound is scary. You never know when somebody's hypervigilant. So just kind of I tried to add that to a character that's usually very confident and on top of things.
How did everyone else react? Like, all the other characters, I mean, the actors react to where you were headed. Were they sort of shocked by what was going to happen with her? You know, did you have
They were probably jealous that I had such a good storyline. But I think we all get jealous. When somebody has a great storyline, we're like, oh, man, that's so good. Like, when Frank was, like, dying or, had to get a new liver, or he had that great scene with the girl in the hospital, we're like, oh, God, that's a good scene. I wish I had a good scene in this episode. So, but it all gets balanced out.
Okay. How about, are you trying to get, like, go-go dancer moves, too?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
Also, you know what's weird is that if Fiona ever has to dance, because I took dance as a kid, they tell me I'm like too graceful, although I don't think I'm graceful when I like dance at all. But so they tell me to like dance badly. There was also a scene where they made me like sing the Star Spangled Banner once, and they told me to do it like badly.
Mm-hmm.
So
are we going to see her a lot in this diner where she's now working, do you think? I know you haven't seen a script.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. The last thing I heard last season was that that's actually a real diner that we shot in Chicago. So they're going to rebuild that interior on a stage in Warner Brothers, and hopefully we'll have that.
Have you waitressed before?
No.
Okay.
I've never held a job.
I don't know how to do
acting,
that.
So I'm completely screwed.
Like I wouldn't know.
Although I can do like I can.
What is that?
Like it's like with a tray.
Like how do you even know you can do that?
I don't know. I actually don't know how I can do that, but I can take a tray all the way around.
That's impressive. Okay, let's get to one more question if we can. Talk about any past roles you were considered for that you wish you had gotten. Gosh. Right when I put you on the spot.
Yeah, none. I get them all.
I got them all.
No, oh God, I really wanted to be in the movie Tuck Everlasting. I auditioned for that. I wanted that so badly. I love the book so much. Frickin' Alexis Bledel. No, but you know, there's always stuff that it always makes me feel better to read that like such and such a person that I look up to auditioned for such and such and didn't get it. There are tons of things that you want all the time that just for one reason or another people just don't think you have the right vibe for, and it's just the way it is.
Just the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, Emmy, those are my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you so
excited
much.
to see what's in store for Fiona. We want her back on the straight and narrow there.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
No more probing scenes.
No more probing scenes.
Please.
I don't know how you got through that. Don't
tell our writers. No more.
I won't tell them. Thanks, guys, for joining us. If you want to check out more of our chats, head to latimes.com. Thank you. Thanks.